Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump from the deep end of the pool, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
Yes, that's gonna blow it up.
Yep.
Testicles 1, 2. Testicles. Welcome back to Paranoid Radio Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am Trebles Garcia, and I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Do not forget that the most important thing that you can do for the show today is word of mouth. Check us out at paranoidradio.com and check out the affiliations with Flavors of the Forest. Save 15% off today in your little checkout point with a little coupon called Paranoid with Flavors of the Forest. Check us out at paranoidradio.com and drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. We have an amazing episode lined up with somebody that I really cherish, and he's been here before a couple of times. Please give a warm welcome to the author of the book. Wait, I'm being rude right now. Give me a moment. Oh, snap. The author of the Conspiracy Theory Survival Guide, and now with the second book, dropping bombs of knowledge all over the world, baby. He also wrote The Mandela Effect, Supernatural Bible Changes, and a Doctrine of Preservation of Scripture. What a hell of a name. Welcome back, John Kirwin.
That is a mouthful, that title. I had to fit it all on the cover, but we got it done.
I cannot wait to know what the book is about. Before anything, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find the book at wakeuporelse.com. It is available for free because we are a ministry. Both of my books are available and download for free. If you want a hard copy, you can get them on Amazon. And then our content is on Wake Up or Else on YouTube. And recently we moved to Rumble, so there's material now on Rumble that's not on YouTube because YouTube started banning us. So we said bye. We're also on X. We're on Twitter also. So really, Twitter and Rumble is where we're going to be hanging out because then we can say what we want, you know.
Yeah, and we could also start promoting that book in different areas and reach out a bigger population of the same kind that we are all surrounding ourselves with.
Yeah.
John, you have came and you gave us so much knowledge. You dropped a lot of bombs. The last conversation we had was mostly about thoughts and how we felt, your life process as a conspiracy theorist at the table with your kids. It was a very deep conversation, but today we're going to focus on something that your book is about. Please start the conversation. What is the Mandela Effect and the Supernatural Bible Changes? Oh man, I'm in for a doozy.
Yeah, this is a wiggy one. This is super far out and exotic, and it's really hard to get your head around, but it is not a few crazy people in their mom's basement. This is millions of people now, and there's hundreds of platforms across the different social media channels that are talking about it. Some of the YouTube channels that cover Mandela Effect exclusively have over 200,000 subscribers each. So this is not a small little, dust up where there's a few crazy people. This is a real phenomenon. It's been going on for about 8 years now. And then major magazines have covered it. There's several movies about it. Fox News has covered it. So, there's 100 different groups on Facebook that are talking about this. Many of them have 10,000 subscribers. So this is really real. Or at least you have to admit that even if people are just misremembering, it's still a phenomenon. Because how do you explain millions of people claiming their reality has changed when it hasn't? That would be a mass delusion. Well, do they have a virus? Is it a mind control weapon by the lizard people?
Boom.
Or, it's still a phenomenon. Either way you cut it. But what I've found is it's not misremembering, and I can prove it now.
Wow. Yeah. As I remember, Mandela Effect has been ramping up due to social media. And it's kind of like when you're driving and somebody tells you, don't pay attention to the red car, and you start seeing red cars everywhere. It's kind of your brain starts, it's like the tip of your nose. You can't see the tip of your nose, but once you see it's there, you can't just not acknowledge it anymore, right? It's relevant, and it's also a trend. Yes. And believe it or not, because of social media, specifically TikTok and all these other platforms people are using, the conversation of the Mandela effect has been in a rise, but you're trying to give it a biblical twist.
Well,
How have
sure,
you?
because
Yeah.
as truthers, we're down a bunch of rabbit holes already. We don't believe NASA's telling the truth. 9/11 was a seminal moment for a lot of people. Um, there's all kinds of other ones: chemtrails, reptilians, clones, underground bases. You could just go on and on and on. All right, so we're in this realm, and all of a sudden, this is like going back about 6, 7 years. This whole Mandela effect thing comes across my radar. So my mind's already open because I'm in this world, but they tell me mirror, mirror on the wall never existed. I'm like, get out of here.
What?
So I go over, and the Walt Disney movie has always been magic mirror on the wall. That's what she said.
No, it isn't. It's mirror, mirror.
Right. Everybody remembers that. In fact, a sociologist did a study, 25,000 participants, and 92% remembered mirror, mirror out of their long-term memory.
What?
Which sociologist studies will indicate that that's anything over 5 or 10% where people misremember the same way is statistically, it doesn't happen. And this was 92%. Well, this is the thing that I finally landed on after 8 years, where I can now prove objectively that we're not misremembering. Because really, if you suggest that, your hypothesis is inaccurate. Okay, because really what you're doing is you're leaving off one aspect of the observation. We're not misremembering. We're all misremembering the same way. Okay, so
I like
what I
that.
did was I went to ChatGPT and I put this question in. I said, okay, I want you to calculate the probability of 5 people having 5 simple Bible quiz questions posed to them, and they all get them wrong, but they all answer the same way. And what's the probabilities that? And we'll give it say that there's only 50 possible answers. It's actually infinite. But if, say, 50, it makes it even harder. And so it came back, it did the math. It's quite complicated, the math. And 5 people would be 10 to the 42 power. And then I do it for 10 people, misremembering 10 Bible quiz the same way. And it was 10 to the 170th power. Now, to give you a reference, 10 to the 18th power is 1 in a quintillion.
Almost impossible.
So what is 10 to the 170th power? It's totally impossible for the whole world to be misremembering the same way. So this becomes absolute objective evidence that's observable and repeatable, so it meets the scientific criteria. Nobody can now say, well, I can clear this up. You're just misremembering. No, it's a phenomenon, and now it's provable.
2 nights ago, actually, I was conversating with the guys from Speaking in Code. These guys are great. They're awesome people. And they brought the idea of MK Ultra not being used on single individuals. They brought the idea of MK Ultra being used on everybody. Everybody's under hypnosis.
That's happening for sure.
So I was like, wait, you just flipped the script on me, bro. It's not a cup half full, it's a cup half empty. Whoa. And then I was like, that opens a whole bunch of other rabbit holes, dude, because that means we're all under control and all kind of like the Matrix. Everybody's under control, and only takes those few that take the red pill to really get out of the Matrix, right? In the movie. So how does this apply? You also mentioned in our previous conversations that the Bible has, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 300 miracles in the Old Testament or in the New Testament that Jesus Christ, that God accomplished in one lifetime? Who does that? How many prophecies come to alive?
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's what you were saying. I was like, what? As I use that all the time.
That's one of the strong evidences for the Bible, that it predicts the future with 100% accuracy. That's something that you have to reconcile if you don't
The
believe
math
in God.
work in that must be insane as well.
Absolutely. So let's do some examples with memory for the folks, so we can first of all establish that you're misremembering like everybody else. And I'm going to go right to the Bible examples, because these first two are as familiar as mom and apple pie to everybody. The first one is Matthew 7:1. And I'll just give it to you and see if you can give me the fill in the blank answer. You ready?
Ready.
Judge not, blank ye be judged. That's the King James Version.
Just not
As you judge not, blank ye be judged.
as I will be judged.
Judge not, blank ye be judged.
Fill it in.
If I say
don't
lest,
know it.
lest, does that sound familiar? Judge not, lest ye be judged.
Yeah. I don't know that version, quite frankly, to
Okay,
be honest.
let me give you another one. This is Job, where he's getting hammered by God and his wife's haranguing him. And he's like, shall we not receive good and evil from the Lord? Then he says this famous quote, the Lord blanks and the Lord blanks away.
The Lord provides, and He will take it
You're
away.
on it.
Okay,
Give it to me again. The Lord, first he's going to give, and then he's going to do something
the
else.
Lord
So,
provides, and the Lord taketh away. Right?
giveth.
Giveth away.
Remember that? The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
Yes.
That's
okay.
what most people remember. Well, my point is that has never existed in the King James Bible. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away has always said the Lord gave and the Lord hath taken away. And most people are like, what? Even pastors will say the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, because it's
I can't
changed.
wait. I can't wait for my friend at work. Like, and Juan, he's my fourth. Like, he's a Bible thumping Christian warrior.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's the one that tells me. He's the one that kind of like I stopped drinking because of this guy, dude. He's amazing. He's over here telling me like, dude, check this out, bro. He gives me a phrase every day, a book, a Bible book every day. He gives me a Bible phrase. So we study and we debate about it, and I give him my logic. And he goes, no, wait, and he explains it to me. I cannot wait for him to come and check this out, man. What else you got, Kirwin?
All right, well, I want to get the memory thing nailed down. So I'm going to go to pop culture things. I'm going to see if I can stump you 5 times.
Okay.
And the answers you're going to give me are going to be the same answers that everybody else in the world gives. All right, so let me see. Let's go with the mascot for the forest fires. Okay, he was a bear. Hey, don't play with matches. What was his name?
Smokey the Bear.
Okay, now ever since his original trademark, he was always Smokey Bear. So that's one. Everybody's going to say Smokey the Bear. All right, there was a sitcom. It was a sitcom. It was a series on TV. Sex, blah blah, city.
Sex in the City.
Sex in the City. Is that what you said?
In the
All right,
city, yeah.
Yeah, it's always been Sex and the City.
No, it is.
No. All right, so that's 2 for 2.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, remember Mr. Rogers? He had the little theme song.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a beautiful day. Finish that line.
In the neighborhood.
Give me the whole line.
I don't know it.
You did it. You just said it.
Yeah, give me it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Say it slower and articulate each word.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood, right.
Yeah.
What it's always been is it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Now, you got to understand, people will just slough this off like it's idiotic.
Because
Well, of
it's
course-
tiny words.
It's right. And it's like, well, what's the difference? People misremember. No. What they don't do is they don't misremember the exact same way. And I'm talking 1 billion people, maybe 2 billion. All misremembering the same way is because the people that are the unconvinced, they call them, always come at me with a tone like they're on this pedestal of intellectual superiority, and they're the rational ones. Okay, but I'm sitting over here with a giant can of rational. And what I'm telling you is that you're defying the scientific discipline of probabilities
Oh, man.
and just brushing it aside like it doesn't exist. So you're the one that's irrational because
Yeah.
we're not just misremembering, we're misremembering in unison. All right, you remember King Henry VIII? There was a famous picture of him. He's painted there and he's holding something in his hand. King Henry VIII. Maybe you don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
That's all right. That's all right. I got more. I got more here. All right. All right. So there's these books when you're in school and college, and these books summarize a book, and you can read the blank notes, and it just summarizes the book. Starts with CLI, Cliff Notes. Do you remember those?
Cliff Notes? No.
Do you remember those?
No.
Never heard of those? Okay.
Never heard of those.
That's all right. I got more. Hold on.
Hmm.
Spell the word judgment.
Judgment.
Yeah, it's never been spelled with an E. It's always been Judgment. So that's
What?
3 for 3. Yeah, words
What?
have changed, geography has changed, human anatomy has changed, names of books, names of people. How about the guy that played Superman, Christopher, and his last name starts with an R. He played the
Wait. John, wait. Judgment.
Judgment
Judgment spelled what?
without an E. Judgment is spelled
No.
Judgment.
Shut the front door.
Yes, sir.
When did that change?
Well,
I got chills. I got
that's the
chills in my
problem
spine right now.
with the Mandela effect is when it changed is really not something we can answer because in this reality, it's always been spelled that way, all the way back to the beginning of recorded history. So what we're experiencing is not like, well, it was spelled with an E last year, or before last year it was spelled, changed a year ago. No, in this phenomenon, new timelines are being edited into our timelines. So we now have a different past. The past that we all lived is no longer behind us. Or we have shifted to another Earth where the past is different. That's another hypothesis. Or it's some sort of consciousness shift, which I can't even explain, but we don't know what it is. We just know what it isn't. It isn't misremembering. All right, there's a train station. There's a place where they have trains in New York City. What is it called?
Central Station?
Give me the whole thing. Starts with Grand.
Grand Central
Yeah, you just said it.
Grand Central Station?
Yeah, it's always been Grand Central Terminal. So that's 4.
Wait, it's not Grand Central Station?
Nope.
I just heard this.
Nope.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't, dude. Whoa.
I know
You're
it,
tapping into some deeper stuff here, John.
All right, you heard of the Great Wall of China?
Of
Right.
course.
Have you ever
Yeah.
heard of the Great Wall of India?
No.
How about the Great Wall of Pakistan?
No.
All right, well, that's 5. I'm just going to stop there.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean 5? So the Great Wall of China doesn't exist?
No, the Great Wall of China does exist, but unless you were living under a rock, you would have known that there's a Great Wall of India and a Great Wall of Pakistan too, wouldn't you? But they do exist.
What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me?
I'm sorry. This is my realm. This is my world. Anyway, what I want to point out is what Trebles just did is he stated exactly what a billion other people would state, and that's not mathematically possible. It can't happen. So what I'm saying is now a lot of us saw that, and we saw different things changing, and then we accepted it because it's pretty, humans have the capacity for certainty. Well, then we heard that the Bible was changing.
That's the important part.
That's a tougher one to swallow because we've all been taught that the Bible can't change. Well, God can't change, but the Bible can change. That's the problem.
I have 2 questions for you.
Yeah, go
Before
ahead.
I'm gonna note them down. But the question: would God allow this for Scripture to be tainted?
Yeah, in Amos 8:11, we have the first example of where God calls for a judgment just like this. Amos 8:11 says, God says, I'm going to send a famine, but not a famine of bread. It'll be a famine of the word, and men will seek the word, but will not find it. Now, in my book, I actually have a list of about 8 different times that God sent a judgment where he basically removed his word. And so it's not heretical to suggest that he's doing it again. What is it? If he's done it before,
Oh God.
right?
Oh my God. Wow.
So let me just give you a couple examples. All right, so Amos 8:11, then Lamentations 2,
Mhm.
verse 9. Her king and her princes are exiled among the nations. The law is no more, and even her prophets find no vision from the Lord. That's Lamentations 2:9. Psalm 74:9. We do not see our signs. There is no longer any prophet, nor is there any among us who knows how long, O God. So this is God removing his word from his people as a judgment. 1 Samuel 3:1. Now the boy Samuel ministered to the Lord, and the word of the Lord was rare in those days. 2 Chronicles 15:3. For a long time, Israel was without the true God. So this is nothing new. And then the other thing is the Bible has been changing since its inception. So the idea that the Bible can't change is heresy is nonsense, because you've got 7 different covenants that have been introduced over the course of time. Each time a new covenant's introduced and changes are introduced. We went from the Old Testament to the New Testament, for the love of heaven. That's the Bible changing,
I
right?
love how you put that out. I love it. So simple, man. You
So
are good.
you can give me whatever backstory or commentary you want, but the raw observations remains. In fact, the Bible talks about the fact that it's changing in Hebrews 8, where it says, for if the first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for a second. For finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, say the Lord, when I will make a new covenant. Okay, new covenant is the same as a changed covenant. So you have a book that has been presented as being completely static. And I hold in my hand the unchanging word of God. No. What you actually hold in your hand is a Bible, which is a collection of writings, which we refer to as the scriptures. And the scriptures contain the words of God. So what happened with us, because I'm a Bible believer, I'm not like a God hater who's got a chip on his shoulder and I'm cherry picking obscure scriptures. That's not what I'm doing. I was in ministry full time for 10 years in New York with Dave Wilkerson as a youth pastor and a worship leader. Then I was in ministry for 20 years as a worship leader, as with family, so I was lay ministry. And now I've been in full-time ministry for another 8 years. So I'm not attacking God. Okay, I believe the word is true. But this is undeniable. And when I tell you what's in your Bible, you won't even believe it. You'll be like, there's no way that's in my Bible. Because it's changed. And it's not good. It's being changed with God's permission, by the devil in this last days. So let me give you what I call the universal biblical paradoxes. So first of all, these are in every translation. That means they're in the King James 1611, all 5 revisions, the 1769 Oxford, the King James Bible that's on your coffee table, and on every shelf in every country in every century. It's in the New American Standard on every shelf, the NIV, the EAS, you name it, what I'm about to say is in it. And I can go into any Christian environment and state what I'm about to say, and most Christians will say, I've never known that was in my Bible. Now, these are not only wildly unfamiliar, they're also inconsistent with the nature and character of God. So what I call these biblical or doctrinal paradoxes. You ready?
I'm ready.
Luke 19:27. This is Jesus talking. And he says, but those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. You heard that right. Now, people will point out that this is a parable. Of course, Jesus isn't instructing his disciples to slit people's throats that don't follow him. It's talking about the afterlife, which, first of all, it doesn't really say that. You have to assume that. It is a parable, but I don't care if it's a parable, okay? In other words, I'm in the Word 40 years, and I just discovered this maybe a year ago because I'm looking at this stuff. So here's what should happen when somebody reads this to me a year ago. I should be like, oh, yeah, I know. I've known that that's in the Bible, and it's Jesus talking about the judgment. No, that's not what happened. I was like, what? And that's what I can do with millions of Christians. I just did it today. I tell people that, and I say, is this the first time that this has ever come to your attention? Yes. It's not possible. All right. Isaiah, I'll go into any pastor's office and I'll say, hey, pastor, in your memory, did Isaiah ever knock up a prophetess? Excuse me? He's like, what? Yeah, did Isaiah ever have sex with a prophetess and have a baby? No. Well, Isaiah 8:3, this is what Isaiah says. Then I made love to the prophetess, and she conceived and gave birth to a son. And the Lord said to me, name him Mahar Shalhal Hashbaz. And they look at me like I got two heads. And I'm like, I'm sorry. That's in every single Bible, in every version. So guess what? We're not confused by Bible versions. It's not a modernization, because in order for it to be a modernization, it would have to be different in the KJV 1611 than it is now, which it isn't. So it's not a modernization. It's not a misprint, because in order for it to be a misprint, you would have to find a version where it doesn't exist, and you can't. It's in every version. So what I'm saying to anybody listening is, if you've been in the Word like I have, and you've never known that Isaiah knocked up a prophetess, I'm telling you, man, that doesn't happen. Right? It's the kind of thing that would stick out in your mind, I think. I think you might be aware of that. Oh, yeah. Okay. Isaiah. Yeah. Now, some people say, well, that's his wife. No, it doesn't say that. There's nothing in the text that says it's his wife. But again, that's the backstory. We don't care about your backstory. It's Isaiah knocking up a prophetess. Okay? And it's just off color. It actually creates a biblical paradox, because later on, Isaiah condemns adultery. Anyway, a lot of people remember this, where Jesus made mud out of his spit and he healed the blind man. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you ever remember Jesus spitting right in a guy's face to heal him?
No.
No. And everywhere I go, everybody says no. And pastors will tell me no. Okay, so once again, I'm here to tell you, if Jesus ever spit in somebody's face,
John, stop.
I would know about it.
Stop.
I'm like, oh yeah, that was pretty wild. He did that. I know. No,
John,
we don't get that.
Dude, I have to be honest with you. I just went through this. I did an episode on olive oil on the Bible, again with Juan, my dude, right? He's been on the show a couple of times. And he went through, I remember doing a joke for this. And this is when that girl, the Hawk 2 girl, just started becoming famous, right? And I was like, dude, did Jesus Christ did he just do the original Hawk 2 on dirt and then rub it on his eyes? And he was like, yeah, Jesus. And we were laughing. I'm going to send you that clip. We were laughing our butts off, because he told me he picked up the dirt.
That's right.
Mixed it with the saliva and then rubbed it on his face. I'm like, did he just Hawk 2 him? Yeah. But like, we knew that the difference was that he didn't spit on his face. This is how I know he didn't spit on his face.
Now that is still in the Bible, but this has now been added. So Mark 8:23 says this, and it's Mark 8:23. And he took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes, and put his hands upon him. He asked him if he saw aught. So what's happening is there's all different kinds of changes. So you got new names and places. There's names with 18 letters. There's word switches. There's new countries. There's missing words. There's altered names. There's egregious spelling, grammar, and syntax errors galore. Changed stories, new stories, biblical paradoxes, cut and paste duplicates, ebonics, emojis, gibberish, and nonsense verses, duplicated words, massive run-on sentences, modern words, unexplained use of capitalization italics, blasphemy, sexual innuendo, ungodly themes, a lot of very unfamiliar content that's leaving millions of Christians scratching their heads.
Oh, goodness.
Certain versions contain changes not present in the KJV, while at other times changes only appear in the KJV. Changes appear in one part of the New Testament, but not the other part. Changes are in the Old Testament, but not the New Testament, and vice versa. Some changes are in one gospel, but not in any others, while other changes are in all gospels. I mean, it's just all over the map. Wow. And I remember going way back into earlier years when I was in New York, and I would meet people who had a chip on their shoulder with God, and they would be like cherry picking obscure scriptures to try to make God look bad. This is way past that. This is not that, okay?
No, this is beyond even walking into a different Protestant doctrine. This is beyond a different domination teaching, because this is causing a larger division between even Christianity, bro. This is huge, John.
It's so obvious that there's not many. I've done polls. There's a minority of people in the Christian truther world, the Mandelite people, that believe that if Christians cannot accept this and perceive that this is happening, they're not even saved, because these are so obvious. Let me show you how obvious these are. 2 Kings 18:27 says, "Hath he not sent me to the men which sit on the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you?" Now, I don't care if this is a judgment. I don't care what the backstory is. Again, what I'm telling you is virtually every time I read that, Christians, pastors, will tell me that they didn't know that was in their Bible. And if anybody was drinking their own piss and eating their own dung in their Bible, I would know about it, because that's the kind of thing that sticks out in my mind. Or Isaiah 60:16, "Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles and suck the breast of kings." So you have males breastfeeding in the Bible now.
Oh, snap.
And listen, here's a theme that you can see forming that is going to be used by the Antichrist or the one world government to be able to present a doctrine of the devil out of the Bible. So you've got men breastfeeding. Then in Leviticus 4:32, you have offering a female sheep, which is very foreign to most people. "And if he bring a lamb for a sin offering, he shall bring it a female without blemish." That
wasn't in there either.
No, nobody remembers that.
No, that wasn't a female.
It's also a paradox, because it also says in Leviticus to sacrifice male sheep, and it's a mess. Anyway, it's important because the sacrifice of sheep is a type and shadow of Christ. Well, if you have a female sheep, now you have an insinuation that Jesus could be female. All right. But you have also men breastfeeding. And then you have this, Luke 18:15. "And they brought unto him," that's Jesus, "infants, that he would touch them." Now, I remember them.
Wait. Rewind. Say that again.
Luke 18:15, they're bringing Jesus babies so he can touch babies. He's touching babies.
To bless them? To like their forehead?
It doesn't say that. What it still says somewhere else, or it used to say, is that they brought him children to bless them. That's what I remember. They brought the children to him and he blessed them. This is not saying that. This is saying that they brought babies and he touched them. All right, then
and that could get twisted very fast.
Thank you. All right. The bombshell one that ties it all together is Revelation chapter 1. I believe it's verse 13, where it talks about he has a sash across his paps in the KJV. Paps is the word mastos, which is female breasts. Stethos is the word for male breasts, and it's not used there on purpose because now you have Jesus depicted as Baphomet or having female breasts. You have him touching babies, and you have him pictured in a type and shadow as a female sheep. I'm a pedophile Satanist. I can have a field day. I could start my own religion just on those 3 scriptures.
John, you can start your own religion.
Yeah.
Just on those 3 scriptures. That is heavy.
So these are not only unfamiliar, you got to give me some sort of explanation why all this is going on in my Bible, and they're in every version. I'm very careful to use the universal ones. So the number one escape route is, and I'll go through this and be very emphatic, and people will still post, oh, well, you're just confused by all the versions. You're a liar. If you say that, you either weren't listening or you're a liar, because these are in every version.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It took me 8 years to figure this out.
I like to say this on the show. Hashtag look it up. Stop death scrolling on TikTok.
Thank you.
And spend 5 seconds of your life to go to the search bar and search it.
Now, this one's in every translation. Super familiar. People will say this. I hear people say this all the time on YouTube and stuff, and they're preaching, and they'll talk about who went in to kill the firstborn when God sent... somebody went in to kill the firstborn. I'm not going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
You remember
In
the
Egypt?
story? Yeah. Moses judged Egypt.
Passover?
Something went in to kill the firstborn. Who was it? Do you remember?
It was, so they had to put blood on top of their
Yeah, you got it.
things
You're
so that
right.
death would
Bring it.
pass over him.
Yep.
The angel of death.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm loving you for that. The death angel. Well, guess what?
Oh, don't do it. Don't do it,
Exodus
John.
12:23 says, "For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians."
No. Lock it up. Lock it up.
It's
This
not
is
the
dangerous.
Lord. It's not the Lord, please. That's not the inspired word of God anymore. The inspired word of God said the death angel. So this is what we're struggling with. What I did was I said, all right, if the Bible's changing, then it must not be teaching that it can't change, because God's not a liar. That's
What's
sound
that,
reasoning. Exodus 12:23. And it's in
I
every
assume
version.
in Spanish, it has to say it again. Now, the reason I'm saying in Spanish is because I'm translating the show. I dropped my first Spanish version full podcast last Wednesday. It was huge, and we're doing a bilingual show now. So this is gonna be big information to cross over, bro. Okay, have you done that one?
What's that?
Have you done that translation
What do you
in
mean?
Spanish? In Spanish? Let me see. Let me run it right here live.
Check it.
Spanish. Yeah, let me see what it says. It says, porque Jehová pasará hiriéndolos. It says Jehovah.
Yeah, it says God.
It doesn't say the angel of death anymore.
God went in and did it.
What?
And you'll hear, now that I've pointed this out, I guarantee you're going to be on YouTube or whatever. You're going to hear somebody talking, and they're going to, just out of the mind, they're going to reference the death angel went in and killed the firstborn. And you're going to be like, oh, smack. How did that get in his mind? See, here's the question. If you have a forest, do you believe that all the trees could just fall over for no reason? There has to be a cause, right?
Yeah, cause and effect.
Right. So if you have, I don't know, 1 billion people all remembering the death angel, then there has to be a reason why it got in there. Now, this is what I'm about to tell you is the most embarrassing, far-fetched, Hail Mary attempt to explain this that I've ever, and it's the most common response. And what I'm about to tell you has fallen from the lips of the most devout men and women of God I've ever met. They'll go like this, because now I've painted them into a corner, right? And they're like realizing that this doesn't add up. but they can't admit that the Bible's changing because that is going to upend their whole world. So they go, well, I can clear this up, John. We're just confused by misquotes from pop culture.
I'm trying to blame it on Star Wars. No, you can't. No,
misquotes from pop culture is the go-to reason.
That sounds kind of like when NASA said, we lost the technology to get to the moon. No, bro. No, shut the front door.
So let me break this down, because this has really undermined my belief for the church to have the role of the pillar of truth in society, because if people can come out of this, like, seriously try to suggest this. So first of all, if you see somebody on Facebook and they're saying there is no God, do you somehow subconsciously adopt that belief and without you even knowing it, and then one day wake up as an atheist? Because that's what you're asking us to believe.
After repetition, yeah. If they keep repeating it. Mm-hmm.
No, you have a faith, and you have a filter, you have moral filters, and you reject that. You don't adopt it. We don't have implanted thoughts just grabbing our brain like a vice and ripping our memories of what the Bible teaches out of our head and putting this fake memory in there. All right, so let's use an example from pop culture. We'll use the mirror on the wall. Because what people want to suggest is that this is an implanted thought, like you're just confusing the Planters peanut guy with the Monopoly guy. Okay, well, let's just say you're right for a second. That can happen. All right, so, but can I use the Planters peanut guy as the reason why I'm misremembering mirror on the wall? No, you'd have to have a movie where you have the character standing in front of a mirror saying mirror.
Yes.
That's confusing us about the Walt Disney movie where she says magic mirror. So here's my request. Show me that movie. Where is the movie where she's saying mirror? You got the Planters peanut guy. Okay. But there's thousands of other Mandela effects. So where's
like to do the switcheroo.
Right. Where's the movie where she's wrongly saying mirror that's confusing us? Can you produce it? And the answer, of course, is no. It doesn't exist. So you can't take the implanted thought theory and apply it to the entire phenomenon. That's my point. Nor can you suggest that we're so vulnerable that we could just be overcome by some misquote from pop culture, which you can't even prove exists anyway. It's just a guess. Right?
The movie. So now that you brought that up, I've seen this movie called Snow White and the Huntsman.
Oh, yeah. I think I heard of that.
Let me see if that one says
movie,
mirror.
right?
It's kind of like, it's not really horror. It's just kind of like action live and has a lot of darkness in it. Let me see if that one, let me Google that one on the show. Let's see if that one says mirror. Does the man?
While you're looking that up, I'll just point this out. Remember that I can do this with pastors. And I looked at the different disciplines. A pastor's writing a sermon every week and delivering the sermon. Then he's reading his Bible, he's studying his Bible, and he's even memorizing his Bible. And then he's singing hymns, he's listening to Christian music, he's reading a daily devotional, he's listening to other people speak about the Bible. He's got like at least 10 to 15 disciplines of his faith that are compounding and influencing what's in his Bible, not what's in social media every week after week, month after month. So in order for this cockamamie hypothesis to have any validity, you'd first of all have to produce the proof that these even exist, which they don't. And then you'd have to prove that they were repeated enough times to overcome all these regular disciplines, which you can't. Then you would have to show that these pastors actually spend enough time on social media for it to overcome them. Then you would have to explain how they're just dropping their pants and having these things overwrite their brain, which is so preposterous and offensive to me that it's a ridiculous idea. It can't happen. So it's not that. It isn't misremembering. It's not implanted thoughts. It's not misquotes from pop culture. It's not because of confused by versions, modernizations, or misprints. And here's another one. We're not delusional. Do you know how I know we're not delusional? Because there is a peer-reviewed study that was done on the Mandela effect, and they proved that the unconvinced and the Mandelites both have the same memories on these topics. So in other words, everybody remembers the Monopoly guy having a monocle. It's not just people claiming this is a phenomenon. The unconvinced remember it too. You can go into any room full of people that don't believe in the Mandela effect and ask them, what about Grand Central Station? Yeah, no, it's Grand Central Terminal. So they have the same memories as us. Okay, so follow me. If we're delusional, then so are you.
Exactly.
Right? So I don't think you want to own up to that.
Stay with that same energy. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So what I've just done is I've eliminated all your objections. There isn't any more. Now, follow me now. Now you're in court, okay? Joe is on the stand. He's convicted. He's being accused of murder. And there is testimonial evidence. I saw him at the scene of the crime, Judge. Now, the defense attorney objects. And then the judge says, all right, go ahead. And he tries to tell why my testimony should not be entered in. The judge goes like this, overruled. Sit down. Boom. Guess what happens to my testimony? If there's no objection, my testimony gets entered into the court as what? Evidence. Look up the definition of evidence. You know what it means? That which is true, that which is reliable, that which is valid. If I find a guy, I find the bloody knife, it's got the blood of the victim and the fingerprints of the suspect on it in the guy's basement, that's evidence. It'll convict him. But let's say there's no bloody knife, but there's 3 witnesses that saw him at the scene of the crime. Guess what? Those 3 people's witness will send him to prison too.
Yeah.
So our testimonies, in the absence of any objection, which I have skillfully removed, is evidence.
Automatically.
Boom! Jordan fades back. Swish. I love what I do, baby.
Dude, round of applause. That was the deepest rabbit hole I've been into with Mandela. Fact.
Ooh.
I cannot have enough. I have one last question.
Yes.
This is going to be towards the end of the show now.
I know you do short shows. That's all right, though. I'm with you, baby.
No. We had a perfect strong hour. Very strong.
Was it an hour?
Almost. Yeah, we started at 6:48.
Gosh.
Hey, check this out. Okay. After all your research,
Yeah.
the question, I know, but give me your theory.
Perfect.
What? Okay, how are they doing it and for what reason?
Great question. How were we think the D-Wave computer and CERN have something to do with it? I know from Cliff High's research, he pointed his WebBot at the D-Wave computers, and he found there was a very high correlation of the number of Mandela effect reports in and around where the D-Wave computer is. And the D-Wave is very bizarre. It uses qubits, and that's a fallen angel technology. I won't get into it, but essentially they don't work if human consciousness comes too close to the qubit. So they have to suspend the qubit in a cylinder and then bring it down to close to 0 Kelvin to make a human consciousness vacuum. Okay, then the qubit's glitching back and forth between dimensions at the quantum level, opening dimensional doors. So what you basically have is a human consciousness black hole, and in and around that human consciousness black hole is a very high concentration of Mandela effect reports. Cliff High created the WebBot, which has been predicting the future. Did you hear about his prediction? That he predicted the melee in the sky with the UFOs in 2009 to the day. He said 39 days after Joe Rogan interviews Trump, 39 days later, which was December 4th, there's going to be a melee of UFOs in the skies over the whole world. And the dude totally called it to the day. And I saw him do a couple other ones. Anyway, that's the first answer. The second answer is really the most important one. Why? And I believe that the Bible is what God really allowed this to happen for, because what's happened with believers in church and Christianity is that we've exchanged a heart relationship for head knowledge, and the Bible has become an idol. And so God is sending a Tower of Babel judgment where he's confusing the thing, and he's coming to his church and he's asking this question. Do you know me, or do you just know my book? Because the Pharisees knew the book, but they didn't recognize Jesus when he showed up.
Oh, you freaking answered it, man.
And the church is doing the same thing right now because God's leaving the book by allowing this, and the church isn't recognizing it. So it's the same thing happened with the Pharisees in reverse.
Even Satanists study the book. Yeah, 100%.
So I cover that in great detail. My book is like 400 pages. It's free. It's on wakeupOrElse.com. And this thing is going to bring a reformation to the church, of revival, because the goal of this judgment is not punitive, it's redemptive. It's to bring us back to a fiery love affair with the Son of God. And what's happened is church leaders have been using the Bible as a cudgel to keep God out of their solemn assemblies, because church leaders don't like when God shows up. See, God wants to show up in your solemn assembly, sir. He wants to knock Sally over and heal her of her brain tumor. When God's 2,000 volts of healing power hits her, she might fall down and shake a little bit, and that's something you don't like, because then you feel like you're out of control, so you squelch it. And you say, well, that's not decently and in order. Well, God's tired of that, and he's going to eliminate this idol that's keeping him out of his church because he loves his people. That's my answer.
And he has very interesting ways to get the job done.
Yes, he does.
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. I've always said this. Stop thinking flat earth and ground earth. It's time. I've always said this. Time is the biggest lie to man. And I think everything you brought today nailed it. I think it solidifies that theory even better, because how else would you change the word scripture? How else without causing everybody to wake up? They do it in small fractions. They changed the to in and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
yeah, man. And they have to have some type. They have to be tapped into some type. And this is just me theorizing here. Some Nephilim technology that causes all of this. It grants them access to changing our reality.
Man, the wheels are coming off the wagon, aren't they? It's totally. I mean, the alien disclosure is on us. I don't know if if we're seeing Project Bluebeam start up, but going into next year, it's going to be truther. I mean, it's so vindication off the wazoo. It's so unbelievable. My family are just in normie land. I can't imagine what they're going through.
If this is really happening to the Bible, don't you think that Project Bluebeam gets thrown out the window and these aliens can really be also?
Say it again. I didn't follow you.
If the Bible is actually changing before you, just like you just brought it as evidence, do you think that Project Bluebeam Project Bluebeam theory can be thrown out the window and these aliens can be real? Can that reality also change?
You mean is Project Bluebeam part of the Mandela effect? I don't understand the question.
The question is, for example, you just brought me evidence that the Bible's changing before you.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've always thought that aliens are fake or demons.
Well, I didn't. Right? I believe they're real.
You believe they're real? Okay. Yeah. So this can from space real?
Well, no, I have a biblical worldview, so I don't believe that they're from space, but I don't believe they don't exist. I think they do exist, but my explanation of them is not that they're coming from some far-off star system.
Through like a biblical lens. I get you. Yeah.
They're either from beyond the ice wall, they've been in the seas the whole time, or they're multidimensional. I'm not really sure what aliens are. I have theories, but I don't really know. But I don't believe that they're coming from distant galaxies. That's what I don't believe. Because I don't believe in space.
Right before we hang up, remember that? Do you remember that Bible verse that made you not quit? I think it was your mom's or your father's. I think it
Oh,
was your mom's
yes.
favorite verse, and you told me one time that you were about to quit. You sat down, and then you just came and you opened the Bible, and it was there, and it
Yep.
reminded you. Has that changed?
No, it's still the same.
Hmm.
Yeah, but God does speak to his people, that's for sure. And people are going to need to hear the voice of God in this hour. You're going to need to know God to go through the storm that's coming. So if you haven't said his name and closed with Christ, just say, Jesus, if this is real, I ask you to come into my heart. I want to know you. I want to be right with you. I want my name written in the Lamb's Book of Life. That's the offer. That's what God offers you through his son, that he will write your name in the Lamb's Book of Life. I'm not sure what that means, but that's something that I am shooting for as a priority. Because I watched my uncle die. I saw the spirit of a man go out of the man. And it is the most sobering, awesome event I think I ever experienced, to watch somebody die. It's really intense. And it's going to happen to all of us.
Yeah.
If you believe in an afterlife, my thing is, I don't get all my questions answered this side of eternity, but nobody else is offering me eternal life except Jesus. So I got to stow all the questions that I can't get answered and stop shaking my fist at God because he won't answer my questions, and just say, all right, I surrender. It's a take it or leave it offer, really.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I hear people all the
Very
time like, I won't serve a God who sends people to hell. I'm like, bye. Let me hold the door for you. I don't care if I don't. What are you going to
Bro,
do?
you sent yourself to hell. You have a
Yeah.
choice.
It's true.
Yeah.
But I get it. I mean, people get angry at God. Like the story about the 5-year-old kid who was praying, his mom had cancer, and he's praying that God would heal her, and then she dies. So then he makes this vow. Well, if that's the God, I'm not going to serve him. Look, it's one of those things where I can't really give you a good answer. I can sort of give you an answer, but it's not going to be good enough. You got to go a different route to get back with him.
Where can people find you, John?
WakeUpOrElse.com. Wake Up or Else on YouTube. Wake Up or Else on Rumble. And Wake Up or Else on X. And then my email, if you want to email me, is wakeuporelse@proton.me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you could also find them under the drop-down menu in the description of this amazing episode. John Kirwin came and conquered. And I'll tell you something right now, man. I cannot wait. I'm gonna listen to this entire show, and I'm gonna translate all the books you gave me into Spanish, and I'm gonna start sending it out like wildfire.
Seriously.
This is huge. It's huge.
Travel, we can't do this. We got to do this more often, man.
know.
You're priceless, man. I love you.
Yeah, thank you. You're
So
priceless too, man.
Awesome,
I really
brother.
genuinely think you have something going here. You have to be very careful too. Arm yourself with the armor of God, because you never know. You know, there's forces out there, and
Well, I'm not winning any popularity contests. I can tell you that.
you're kicking butt, man.
It's all
Kicking
right.
butt.
It's all right. God told me to do this, so I'm safe.
You're safe. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, do not forget to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it.
Paranoid Radio.